The majority of my time is now spent creating, maintaining, and monitoring online accounts. My days of visiting karaoke bars, strip clubs, dives, go-go's have disappeared almost completely. While COVID ravaged through Asia, businesses were closed, lockdowns were imposed, and curfews were aggressively enforced. Many businesses were unable to weather the storm and died. Unfortunately, the business of exploiting children online not only survived, but it's flourishing worldwide. Using technology, offenders shifted from trolling brick and mortar commercial locations for victims to trolling and hunting for victims online. This poses multiple problems, one of which is that offenders are able to find and victimize children, not just within arm's reach, but anywhere with an internet connection. And with the rate in which technology advances are being made, nobody's safe. It's no longer necessary to be physically present to sexually abuse a victim. This is the story of Miko. Miko is primarily cared for by his grandmother and his uncle. They live in a small home about 2 hours from a major city in Southeast Asia. Money's tight for the family. Many households are out of work. Halfway across the world, Walter is all packed for his business trip. His suits are pressed, his noise-canceling headphones are fully charged, and his quarantine hotel is booked and paid. He's staying in a decent area this time. Many of the bars will be closed because of COVID, but between social media, dating apps, finding an adventure shouldn't be a problem. Walter knows how to navigate international travel. His job takes him all over the world. This is perfect for Walter because he loves traveling and he loves meeting new people. More specifically, boys. Walter loves meeting boys, young boys. Walter's a pedophile, and amid intense travel restrictions, PCR tests, mandatory quarantines, immigration challenges, and despite being thousands of miles apart, Walter's about to find Miko. Miko is being sexually assaulted multiple times per day by his uncle at their home, while the other family members are away. The sexual assaults are broadcast live across the globe to other pedophiles who watch and virtually participate in the sexual assaults. This is pay-per-view child sexual abuse. Each viewer is invited and provided access after paying a fee. These sessions are often found being advertised on the dark web, websites, and forums. But that's not the only place they can be found. They can also be found on the most popular social media sites and mobile messaging apps, in public, private, and secret groups. The internet and social media websites and mobile apps have exploded in popularity. After just a few minutes of downloading an application, a user's preferences are being compiled and used to keep the user engaged within the app. The more a user uses an app, the more clicks that occur, and the more profit that is generated for the developers. These preferences include web searches, your current and past locations, your online purchases, the groups you search for, the groups you join, and many other factors. The algorithms are fine-tuned. They work. Have you ever been thinking about buying something new? For example, let's say you've been thinking about buying your first drone. Maybe you mentioned to a friend in an online message that you're thinking about buying a drone. Or maybe you made a Google search looking at entry-level drone prices. Now you begin to see advertisements on your social media, newsfeed, or on your mobile chat app. Advertisements for drones. You start getting pop-up messages letting you know you're within 1 mile of a drone event. You begin to be connected to other people also interested in drones. The result is that you probably will end up buying a drone. The reason you'll probably end up buying a drone is because you inputted data that was collected, and that data was used to find what you like and then direct you to it. The algorithms work. You found a new drone. Walter found Miko. Walter found Miko because Walter found other people and groups of people who are interested in the same thing as Walter, young boys. Through these personal connections, people find other people who are like-minded, and information is shared, usually in end-to-end encrypted messages. The information spreads from country to country in seconds. The more rare or illicit the information, the faster it spreads. The information about Miko and his uncle was no different. Walter was a frequent customer of Miko's uncle. Walter, like many other offenders, was sharing and advertising the pay-per-view sexual abuse of Miko. Miko's safe. Miko's uncle was arrested, but there are many children like Miko still out there. And unfortunately, there are even more people out there like Walter who will use every single opportunity, tactic, tool, or technique to exploit and manipulate children to gain access to them and abuse them. Walter developed specialized skills to hide his identity and mask his online criminal activity for a while. As I mentioned at the start, I spend most of my time creating, maintaining, and monitoring online accounts. I see, on a daily basis, the dedicated men and women of law enforcement doing everything within their power to stop the online exploitation and abuse of children. I know what they go through because I used to do what they do. I've sat at the same desk, in the same chair, behind the same computer, working the same types of cases. I know what it takes, and I know what it costs. That's why I joined Operation Underground Railroad. I work with, train, and support law enforcement all over the world. Working these multi-jurisdictional online cases are both highly complex and expensive. The investigative tools and the trainings are constantly evolving and changing. Law enforcement needs your support, whether it's through O.U.R. or through another means. Every little bit helps. I'll never forget when law enforcement notified our team that Miko was safe and his uncle was in custody. That feeling never gets old because we all know that the world can be a scary place. I've seen people exploited and abused in ways and for reasons that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Technology can be used for good, and it can be used for evil. Walter used it to find Miko. I've never met Walter. I've never even been to the same country as him. We live thousands of miles apart, but I found Walter. My deepest and most sincere thank you to all the amazing people who donate and volunteer to end the exploitation, abuse, and trafficking of children. Respectfully, Alex Rogan.